Who are the top 5 Darkin? One of the most contested questions in all of League lore. This will be a long video. To start, you need to understand when I talk about the feats of these characters, I will be very clear when I talk about things that are hard canon, like the events of the Darkin Saga, versus the second Darkin Saga we see take place in Legends of Runeterra. That is much less canon in what happens. The characters for the most part still exist. Number 5, I'm going with fan favorite Jarral. Everything we know of Jarral comes from Legends of Runeterra, but we can infer that when they speak in these voice lines, he did for a time hold the line against the void. His card description objectively refers to him as extraordinarily durable, even among the immortal god warriors of Shurima. But before I go over number 4, I want to mention that 4 and 5 can be replaced by some of the Darkin I don't rank. But because we don't have much information of Darkin that aren't full-on champions, I'm making some assumptions. Honorable mentions would be Anaka, who was sealed within a True Ice weapon, or Ozzy, who is tied to celestial magic, as she was trapped within a celestial object, and in LOR, she takes hold of a Targonian protector golem known to frequent the peak. That has to be strong. Iberos, the champion of the dunes, is pretty big, and Balkux could have insane magic being tied to Bandlewood, but we just don't know. Number 4 of my list goes to Tarosh. This is one of the times where LOR cards talk of events from past canon. This is not as solid as something coming from a story like Twilight of the Gods, but his card description directly mentions him going against and nearly ending Zolani, who, not to spoil the list, is one of the stronger Darkin. He also takes hold of a dragon in these possible future events. Number 3 is Rost. And you might immediately say, he can't even take over a kid. Well, here's my partial justification. We know what happens when others have touched the site. They were not worthy and were essentially absorbed. My theory states that Ross is purposely corrupting Kain and fueling his quest for power in an effort to have him obey, as his name suggests. Essentially, he could have any other host, but wants a powerful, self-obedient one for a more powerful possession, so he doesn't run through 100 hosts a day like Aatrox. He's also so high up on my list, as we have heard tales of millennia of pain and suffering, and Kain of all people calling him the purest evil. Top 2 is where it gets tough, but no glaze to number 1. I have to put Zolani in silver. Zolani is the godmother of the Darkin. In terms of their now signature blood magic, she wasn't a warrior, she was a healer in these times of conflict, who turned to blood magic that she chose to wield to corrupt and control others, mainly her void corrupted Darkin siblings. The void was what made them Darkin, not blood magic. My argument is that even when we consider her takeover of Mahira in Legends of Runeterra, it's control over another powerful creature, not her own power, which yes is her own ability, but in single combat that won't matter. It's interesting as she was able to control a veteran celestial host, but not Aatrox. With no surprise, my number 1 spot is General Aatrox himself, mostly because of the feats under his name. Not only are these feats greater than those of Zolani, but they happen in hard canon, where Zolani took over Mahira, Aatrox killed the celestial within Aatrox following single combat. Let Zolani possess and control the world, and they may take out Aatrox, but in single combat this is hardly a debate. Aatrox is a warrior legend that many of the other Darkin follow, while Zolani is a corrupting coward. That is my list. There is much room for interpretation. Just try to mention your sources. Follow for more lore.